Welcome back to Tales of Anosmia. I'm Jules and I am anosmic. I have no sense of smell. I want to talk about this book by Molly Birnbaum, Season to Taste, How I Lost My Sense of Smell and Found My Way. It's an autobiographical book, and if you are anosmic, specifically if you have lost your sense of smell rather than like myself being born without it, this is probably going to be really relevant to you. So the book takes place over several years and starts off a few months before the accident happens that takes away her sense of smell. And Molly is training to be a chef and is learning to hone her sense of taste and smell to be able to use ingredients and understand what's going into the dishes that she's making and to be able to recognise all the individual components of what is in the dish. And then one day she is hit by a car and has several injuries, broken bones, things like that, but also loses her sense of smell. Personally, I found this really useful as a resource because of the amount of research that Molly did. She, over the following years, saw loads of specialists, went to various places to have tests done, talked to people who do research in these kinds of areas. And if you want a list of resources to get started, places to look into, to understand what anosmia is, this will cover everything that you need to get you going on that information journey. Obviously, Molly's experience is incredibly different to mine, and I found that really why I enjoyed reading this, because I've never had a sense of smell and I don't understand a lot of the things that acquired anosmics have to deal with, because I'm not missing out on anything because I'm not aware of what I'm missing out on. So a lot of what she talks about I don't necessarily relate to. The depression that she initially falls into when she realises that she can't smell anymore. I can't really understand what that was like for her. Her journey is really interesting because she slowly starts to recover some of her ability to smell, and that is so fascinating to see how that process of coming back happens. Because some people do, especially with head trauma, do recover some ability. It may not fully come back to how it was, but the nerve is able to regrow and reattach, and the brain is pretty good at rewiring. So this sort of thing can happen, and it's really interesting because you learn how not everything that she's smelling, her brain's interpreting in the correct way. She's mentioned smelling the rubbish on the street when she's walking through New York, and she picks up on a really pleasant smell that she really likes and then realises that that's the source. And it's like the brain is relearning these connections and is making some of them wrong. And it's really fascinating. There aren't many books out there that are actually about anosmia. There's a fair few sort of about how the senses work, which are good for understanding the basics of learning how the sense of smell functions, but there's not really very much written by anosmics about their experience. And Lars, I'm sure you're watching and you're about to comment with a link to your book. Feel free to do so. I will read it eventually. It's on my to-do list. But especially because of the lack of literature we have available, this is pretty much recommended reading for if you or someone you know is anosmic. I did in some ways find some of it a little bit alienating because I am congenital, because so much of this is talking about smell and so much is talking about cooking and her experience and things coming back and really specific details about the smells, and it goes into this a lot, and if you're not really able to understand what this is about, then it gets a bit repetitive. I imagine that this is definitely more useful for an acquired anosmic to be able to relate to her experience, but to get an idea of what it's like from the other side for people like myself, really interesting. But I did find it kind of dragged in the middle because of this element of me not really being able to understand why what she's talking about matters. If you are anosmic, go read this. It'll really open your eyes to an awful lot of things and will give you a really good start for a nice reading list of resources to get your head around what's going on. If you have any good books or other resources about anosmia, then put a link down below just so that we can all share in the knowledge. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I will see you back here again soon.